This artwork was made by John Latham and was given to Jeffrey when he was living in London. When I first saw this book, about 20 years later, Jeffrey had pulled it out of a box, holding it.
It's like collision of a piece of hose, a garden hose, and this religious book, as if they had been thrown together by a tornado or something, or somebody with incredible violent energy had tried to pierce this book with this hose. And of course, hose is kind of soft thing. You don't think about a hose as being able to pierce a book. So that's why I thought maybe this was art, because it's just so, it's like somebody really went to some trouble to wind this hose through this book. But I guess you could, look at it from another way, that this is sort of the arterial system of these catechism stories, right? That somehow that winding this hose through it allowed it to have some sort of reverence in genuflecting. No, this has to be art. What it reminds me of in a funny way is things you used to see in films about how a straw would get embedded in a tree from a windstorm, and you would see this, something which was very weak and light, but because it had been driven with such force at such a precise angle that even a little piece of grass was able to stick into a tree from these tornadoes. I went to Hiroshima, and I was, I guess because being an American, there is this relationship to Hiroshima which is completely focused on the atomic bomb and the destruction of Hiroshima. And there's this park in the center of Hiroshima that had been the center of the city, and they made it into a park as a kind of memorial to the destruction, and had just covered over everything. They decided not to renovate, not to put anything away, but they brought in, I guess, some sand and earth or some from the seashore and covered over the ruins of the city. It's been there long enough now that some of the ruins are sort of coming to the surface, and you see a tooth here and a piece of teacup there and a tile that was obviously part of a wall or a house come there, and these little sort of fragments, horror fragments, sort of coming to the surface. And but they're sort of there with the tree trunk, tree roots that are growing, and so you see these very strange juxtapositions, and this sort of reminds me of that, of like a little bit of something that came out of some past incident by force of fate, and some violent act got sort of thrown together with something. I like the fact that this is dirty. Yeah, I like the fact also that it feels like it's just going to fall apart.
Roll.